Good morning. Happy April. It's April 1st, 2021. Today's no Fool's Day though. Today I'm addressing anyone who's serious about your health, whether you're a healthcare provider or I don't even want to call you a patient, just somebody who cares about your current disposition in health or long term. I was listening to a podcast by my good friend Josh yesterday, and it's a podcast about healthcare entrepreneurs for mobile businesses. And he was talking about a concept that I think people in the business world understand, in the finance world, but I feel like few people really understand well for their own individual health. And that's the concept of investments versus expenses. They're not the same. And you could go check out the Uncaged Clinician and hear all about those concepts in the business sense. But I'm going to talk about the health sense right now because it's really important. It's something that drives me nuts when I treat patients and when I'm trying to get people the care they need. And we just don't meet the goals. And maybe it's because maybe I'm not doing a great job as a therapist, but I don't think so. We do our very best. This profession is a pretty modest one when it comes down to things because we go through a lot for our schooling, and we do it because we care about the active lifestyle and want to promote good quality of life through exercise, through proper nutrition and decision making. And a lot of that isn't what we do on the front line, but it's really how we educate you, or you educate you in preparing yourself for what's down the line. Now, what do I mean? And how does that tie back into investments versus expenses? So, in essence, an expense is something that costs you money, and an investment is something that can make you money. Well, in healthcare, reactive medicine, what I mean by that is addressing a diagnosis, addressing a problem when you have it or after you have it. That's an expense. That becomes expensive. If you have cancer and you have to go through chemotherapy, that's expensive. It's not just expensive financially, but it's also expensive on your mood bank, on your energy, on everything physical. I mean, talk to somebody who's had cancer if you haven't gone through it yourself. But it's exhausting. It's painful. And it could mean your life in many cases. What about something simple and universal but very prevalent, like high blood pressure? That's also, right now with high blood pressure, that's starting to address that. That's kind of where maybe investment starts to meet expense. But when it becomes like a heart attack, like a myocardial infarction or a stroke, that's an expense. Then you've already borne the cost of recovery, and you might have lost the function of some of your limbs. Investing in yourself prior to that is starting to pay attention to what you eat. Not just that, but taking stock of what's going on, going to the doctor every year, getting your blood panel work, making sure you exercise without fail. And then that goes even further back because it comes back down to, well, I don't have time to exercise. I got other stuff. I got to do work. I got to take care of my family. I got to eat. I got to sleep. Oh, those are all important things. But if you don't find the time to take care of what's important in the long run, it's eventually going to get you. So that's the crux of it. if you don't make your investments now, everything's going to be an expense later on. You're not going to have things that'll pay off in dividends. Why do I say this? Well, I did just talk about how my work has been driving me crazy with patient care. It's not the patients that are driving me crazy. I love what I do. I love teaching them. I love seeing the stages of recovery. But the problems that come across really come down to the bureaucracy and the BS of healthcare. Because what we do as therapists, it's most of the time, our value by insurance and our companies are placed in the paperwork we do, not necessarily in the work we do with the patients. It's to justify payment, make sure your insurance covers this and that. Okay, well, yeah, that's the function of insurance, and it's important because you don't want to run up costs so much. Insurance is an investment as well, but you want to make a good investment. You don't want to make a crappy investment. You don't want to buy a bad insurance. An example of a bad insurance, and I won't name names for now, but there's a certain PPO that people like because, oh, it's a PPO. I get my own choice. But what you don't know is, from a provider perspective, this PPO does not reimburse the companies that bill them very well. So the coverage might be good. You technically can see whoever, as long as they're quote unquote within network. But your doctor, your therapist, your nurse, their company, their agency, their hospital will not get the PPO reimbursement at the amount that they ask for. And this matters because they are now disincentivized to treat you the way that you think you should be treated, or they think you should be treated. So now they have to justify certain things like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to teach you how to take care of yourself. You're on your own after that. That doesn't feel great, does it? And it kind of goes back to you reap what you sow. You pick a cheap PPO, a cheapio, and that kind of comes around. Or you might get mad, call your insurance. Hey, I thought you said you covered this. And then they'll just give you the runaround. Turn you back over to your provider, back over to your insurance, back to the provider, back to the insurance. But you end up left with the bill. Maybe sometimes you might be able to dispute a claim. Sometimes you won't. But you're going to spend all your energy fighting this battle when you should be fighting the battle to take care of yourself. So that's why I place a lot of value in preventative care, in personalized care. There are so many people, for many years, myself included, that have not gone to doctors for annual checkups, thinking, I'm good. I'm in my 30s, I'm in my 20s, I'm in my 40s. Okay, maybe I'm in my 40s, I should get checked up. By then, something that could have been prevented is now kind of an issue, and it's harder. It's harder to create new routines, new habits. It's harder, you hear my baby in the background, it's harder to do things in the presence of new life changes, like getting married, starting a family. If you haven't started exercising before you had a kid, it's going to be harder to do it afterwards. It's not impossible. By no means am I suggesting any of that. And whatever you ditch you might have felt you dug yourself into, it's not irreversible. But what I'm trying to say is, start investing in yourself. It's not too late, but there's more work to be done if it's later than before. And realize that those costs in medicine, they're coming from somewhere. It's not out of a place of greed. Your providers, they are finite resources. And the more participation that you put into your health up front, the more it'll pay off down the line. Guys, take care of yourselves. Happy Thursday. Happy April 1st, 2021. We're on the tail end, I hope, of this COVID pandemic, this wave, and more people are getting vaccinated. Herd immunity is on the rise. Get vaccinated if you can. That's a belief that I have, that those side effects, they might be there, but they're also blown pretty out of proportion. But follow what your doctors tell you, and don't get caught in the system. Just make the right moves, do the right thing, and then do things right. All right, have a great day. Take care. Harold Pan, Doctor of Physical Therapy.